Hi, welcome back to the Self-Love series with Dr. Hawks. I know that we have talked a lot through the series about, kind of identifying some of our emotional wounds and then kind of reframing those things and taking a look at the lesson that we can learn from each and every one of our experiences and every one of our relationships to not only harbor really good relationships with other people, but also to harbor a good relationship with ourselves. As we move forward, we also talked about gratitude and how one of the best ways to raise your vibration is actually to be in a state of gratitude. Yesterday was Thanksgiving here in the States, and if you didn't get a chance to think about gratitude yesterday, let me remind you again today. Because that is that next step in being self-loving and high vibing is to be thankful for not only all of the lessons but the new blessings that are going to be coming in, as well as being grateful for where you're at right now, moving forward. So this video is actually just going to be a few tips on some of those self-love practices and moving forward. So once you've identified the triggers, once you've started to heal, once you've released some of those things that no longer serve you, once you're able to have forgiveness and love for yourself as well as others, and you have a state of gratitude, then moving on up from that, we have to enforce that for ourselves. We have to enforce those self-love practices to maintain a high vibration. So not only do we want to be grateful, we want to be emotionally, personally fulfilled in our lives. And we want to help other people create a sense of emotional fulfillment for themselves, as well as creating that emotional fulfillment for ourselves. And so this plays a huge role for parents, creating a human being that you want them to thrive, you want them to do well in their life, and you want them to actually be a good person. Nobody goes into parenting with the goal of creating a little shithead. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Um, no matter what has actually happened with some of the adults that are shitheads, no one goes into that thinking I'm going to create, you know, this person who's going to wreak havoc on other people's lives. No, no one wants that for their child, and no one should want that for themselves. So when we move forward with this, and it's not only about creating a human being who has love and compassion for other people, but also that stems from what you're presenting as a parent, right? So it's really important not only for anybody to have this personal emotional fulfillment for themselves, but really important to pass that on to the next generation to make sure that we're not just creating a generation of people that are going to be down on themselves, that are going to not be kind and loving, and that are really going to make sure they bring something to their community and their world. So some tips on that are actually setting personal realistic goals for yourself. Yes, please be a dreamer in a sense. You want to have personal goals because that will help you to feel emotionally fulfilled. Some goals can be short-sighted. Some goals can be end game goals. Some can be very, long-term end game. Some can be short-term, beautiful things that, let's say, for example, you're someone that's struggling with how you talk to yourself. If you're struggling with how you talk to yourself and giving that kindness back to yourself still because you're just not quite there yet, one of your short term goals could even be going a whole day with not saying anything but kind words to yourself. Every time you find yourself saying something negative or putting yourself down or, doubting where you could be or where you are, um, I want you to reframe that and turn that around. So, one of your personal goals could be, I want to go 72 hours without being rude to myself. I want to go 24 hours with saying nothing but kind words to myself. I want to go a full week supporting myself. And by that, I mean supporting the thoughts in your head of what you want to do next with your life. If you are telling yourself that you're not capable of certain things, then that's what you're going to get. But if you show yourself and you tell yourself that, yeah, I can do this. Am I there now? No, but that's okay. But I can get there. And so I'm going to spend, the next 3 hours making a plan for myself on how I'm going to get there. So set those realistic goals for yourself, and they don't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be, I want to make $1 million by next month. Hey, if you're in that position and you've got that flow of abundance coming in, and that's one of your goals moving forward, okay. But I'm speaking in general here for the majority of the population that would not necessarily be a realistic goal. Now, hey, set your intentions, send it out to the universe, write yourself a check that you can cash. But believing in yourself, knowing that you'll be able to cash that check. So if I tell myself, I want to get to Um, I want to get to the gym 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks. Very doable, right? But if I tell myself I want to lose 100 pounds in the next 3 weeks, that's fucking insane. It's not happening. So setting yourself these realistic goals while also being a dreamer and knowing that you're capable of anything you put your mind to. And yes, it will take work. And yes, it will take time. But by setting the intention, putting it out into the universe, knowing that you're capable of these things, and knowing that you're going to come up with a realistic step-by-step plan to make that happen for you. And I know that a lot of people joke like, oh yeah, when you plan something, it's not going to go that way. Okay, have plan A, B, C, D, but the goal is still realistic. You know, what you want in your life, what you want for yourself, that should be realistic. And watch for some of those triggers. They will come back up as you're setting goals. Because when you start to doubt yourself, when you start to doubt these potentials for you, I want you to look at where that came from. Oh, wait, hold on. Why do I think I can't do that? Of course I can do that. Let me just make sure that I look into it a little bit more and do my due diligence to see what it's going to take to get there. The one thing that I really like to stress for people is make a list of things that bring joy to your life. It could be anything. It could be the first cut into a piece of construction paper. I don't know if any of you guys have watched Family Guy, but that's one of those little jokes between Stewie and Brian. He's like the first cut into a fresh piece of construction paper. Ooh. So whatever brings joy to your life, singing, dancing, playing music. Music is a beautiful therapeutic option. Taking a walk, gardening, swimming, hiking, being in nature is a great way to ground yourself. And so, if being in nature is something that does help you to feel grounded, safe, secure, then those are things that should be on your list of things that bring joy to your life, right? Maybe what brings joy to your life is spending time with your grandkids or just laughing, watching a funny TV show, anything that's going to put a smile on that face. Make a list because then you can refer back to that list anytime you're feeling down, anytime you're feeling discouraged. You want to do something every single day that brings joy to your life, no matter what that is. And yes, if that's an unhealthy habit, That is something that you can continue to work on. But make a list of things that are healthy options that bring joy to your life so that they're a good fallback when you are having a bad day or when you are having a moment. Because a bad moment doesn't have to make it a whole bad day. There's 24 hours in that day. The one thing that happened that took up 30 seconds, that should not ruin 24 hours, right? Once we get more in tune with ourselves and where we are energetically, and we've healed from some of the things that have hurt us, and we're grateful, and we're in a state of peace, then these little things, like someone cuts you off on the road, like craziness yesterday on the road, seriously, with all the holiday drivers. Um, in fact, there was actually a guy last night on my way home that as soon as he got onto the highway, he almost cut me off. Like he cut me off, almost hit me. I kept seeing him swerve, and there was just something in my soul that said, you should be the one to be behind this guy because you're aware, right? You should actually be the one to be behind this guy because you're aware of his erratic behaviors and you can watch out for that instead of him actually causing an accident for somebody else. And don't you know, I was probably behind that guy for a good 30 miles last night, even on two different highways. And I saw several times where I had given him his space. He would cut in and out, but then I would let him back over, right? Not because I wasn't taking my stance as a defensive driver. It was because I could see he wasn't paying attention. He was erratic. He probably had something happen that day. You know, the holidays can be stressful for people. And I wanted everyone to get home safely. So I actually did my due diligence to make sure that this guy had the space he needed on the highway. And it was something I felt called to do. And that actually brought a little bit of joy to my life, knowing that for that whole time, he did not harm another driver. And and he was more likely to get home safely. So, I mean, just even little things like that, where you notice something, you notice where somebody else is, even in how they're driving. Now, when he first cut me off, if I wanted to be an asshole about that, I could have. But what would that have done for me? Nothing. It would have enraged me for no damn reason. And then I would have been the one going home upset. And it would have not protected him. It would have not protected me. There would have been absolutely no point in allowing that one moment ruin a beautiful day that I had. So these are just some of those little things, right? Like it doesn't have to ruin your whole day. One person says something that was kind of like, "Wow, you're on one." Does that need to ruin your day? No, it's okay. Maybe that's what they needed was just 5 seconds to get it the hell out of their body where they were like, "Yeah, fuck this." Okay, I don't need to react to that emotionally. They already reacted emotionally. Let them get it out of their system real quick so we can move on with our lives. But just little things like that, right? You know, little things don't have to ruin a 24-hour time span. Or even some people let it ruin a whole damn week, you know, but hey, you don't have to be there. You choose what energy you want to be in, regardless of what's going on in the energy field around you. So, just as a moment there, I think I got way sidetracked with talking about that guy I basically felt the need to protect on the road last night. Um, and he's not the only example. This is just the first example that came to my head with the crazy drivers on the road yesterday. But just that aspect of reframing something to create a better environment for yourself moving forward. So when we do have one of those moments, think of something that brings joy to your life because you've already done the work to make a list of things that bring joy to your life. And then you're going to do at least one of those things every single day. On some days, you may need to do more than one of those things, but make a list of those things that bring joy to your life. For me in particular, listening to music while I'm in the car and singing brings joy to my life. So if I'm in traffic, let's say if I'm stuck in traffic, not only am I still watching, but turn on a song, sing to that, roll down the window, get some fresh air. Um, Depending on how long you've been sitting in traffic and how much emissions are being put into the air, it might not be fresh air. That might be a task better saved for when you're in an environment that is fresh air. Um, but just some of these tips on self love practices are doing things that bring joy to your life, reframing situations when little upsets happen so that they don't turn into bigger things, and then allowing yourself that opportunity to have a sense of gratitude and joy on a daily basis. So if you are someone that tends to put yourself down when you talk to you, create a goal around that. Okay. If you are someone that you let road rage ruin your day, put a goal around that. Create things that will bring joy to your life in that situation, and have compassion for other people. There's nobody out there that's actually a driver that's been a driver for several years that can say they've never accidentally did something on the road that they were like, oh, sorry. Oh, I just fucking pissed that person off. We've all been there, right? But then think about that. Thank goodness that other person had compassion for you. I've cut people off before on accident. And it's like, oh shit, I didn't see them. Oh my God, I'm a dick. Sorry. As you pass them, sorry. You know, they had compassion for you in that moment. So just thinking about it like that, right? We've all made mistakes. Have compassion for other drivers, have compassion for what other people say, have compassion for little things that other people do as an emotional release for themselves. You want people to have compassion for you when you do something, when you're dealing with something. So have compassion for other people when they're dealing with something. I don't know what that other person was actually dealing with, but I could tell by the erratic behavior that it was important for me to not only give that person space, but I got a serious inkling that I needed to be the car behind them. Sometimes I get messages, whatever, right? But I got home safely. And as far as I can tell, that person was at least safe the whole time that I was behind them, even when they did cut other cars off right in front of us. But I was watching their behavior enough to know how to respond if they did do something dangerous. And honestly, I'm a physician, so when I see things like that, sometimes I am called to kind of be the one behind them, or to kind of make sure that something doesn't go bad right away. I've been in instances before where there's been major car accidents right in front of me. And there was a time where I was the one that take the children away so that they didn't see their mother after the car accident, walked them away so that they didn't have to see their mother in that condition. There was another time where a motorcyclist was hit right in front of me by a police officer, actually. I was the one that called 911 to get the ambulance there right away. It happened right in front of me in an intersection in Denver. Oh my gosh, I couldn't drive for like 3 days after that one. That was horrendous. But sometimes you're just called to certain things, right? You're in these situations for a reason. You're meant to be the person to help them in that situation. So maybe, you see someone else on the road doing something stupid. Okay, they had a moment, right? Give them compassion for that. Okay. Well, I'm going to continue to be safe, and I hope that you will be safe. And I'm not saying being careful. I like to say be safe, because you can be a defensive driver. You can be someone that's watching every car around you as well as where you are, because it's honestly what you really have to do driving. Being overly cautious and overly careful on the road is sometimes more dangerous for everyone else. You've got to respond quickly. These are very heavy, moving pieces of metal that are going very fast that are going to hurt people. in the wrong hands, right? So and I kind of went off on a tangent here with the aspect of driving, but it just created such a good example, right? Of being in a state of peace, of looking out for yourself and others, of being able to turn around short, quick situations into a place of compassion and kindness for other people. And no matter what those little instances are in your life, you you really want to be able to do that for yourself, not only to have a sense of joy and peace and love for yourself, but for others. And so, you know, overall, we're all going to have some of those little instances. Please don't let it ruin your day. Please don't let it ruin your week or your year. It's about being able to have these goals for ourselves, to have these things that bring us personal emotional fulfillment so that we can more often than not be in a state of gratitude and appreciation. And that's something that's going to help you be high vibing. So some of the best tips that I can give anyone about self-love after they've done the healing to keep themselves in check is to continue to practice a state of gratitude, to continue to do things that bring joy to your life, to make sure that we continue to heal from within so that our interactions with others aren't those hiccups for those other people's days. Continue to do things that bring joy to your life. Practice healthy self-love tactics. Say nice things to yourself. Feed yourself good nutrition. Drink pure water. Breathe good air. Physical activity. Take a walk. Move your body. Period. Move your body. Stagnation in the body is detrimental. Stagnation in the mind is detrimental. If we're sitting in the same place mentally or physically, that is not movement forward. Yes, you need to rest occasionally. I'm not telling you to go be a lunatic and, work out 3 hours every single day and then end up dropping dead because you never gave yourself a break. It's all about balance, right? But these self-love techniques of, really providing for yourself nutrition, hydration, proper rest, proper work, proper play, proper exercise, all of these things that if we start putting ourselves into a state of gratitude, not only for where we are, what we've created for ourselves, but also what we started with. We should be very grateful for the blessings that we had from the beginning. I am so blessed, right? And think about everything that you are actually grateful for. Are you grateful for your health? Because I know a lot of people that would be super, super ecstatic to have the health that I have, or to have the health that you have, or to have, the mental faculties that you do. I'm grateful for my education, my goodness. Yes, was it expensive and is it all paid off yet? No, but I'm so grateful for it. You can reframe anything in your life to look at it differently, to create a sense of gratitude. And that's what's going to help you continue to be self-loving and to be high vibing. Full circle, make a list of things that bring joy to your life and do some of these things, at least one every day. You're going to feel more fulfilled when you make goals for yourself. Realistic goals, short term, long term, but make goals for yourself. Give yourself the opportunity to shine. I know I've talked in other videos, not even in this series, about some of those self-care practices and things like that. And knowing what you need to do for yourself is not always easy. If you need help, reach out. There's a lot of basics that sometimes we just overlook because we're busy or because we're stressed out or whatever. I have several patients that one of those basics that oftentimes they forget is actually fueling their body. They will not eat. That's one of the basic things that we need to do. Other times it's exercise, right? If we're not fitting in time to physically move our bodies, then we're not moving energy, blood, lymph. We have to move things so that we don't become stagnant. And not just stagnant energy, stagnant flow of blood and lymph. Stasis of blood and energy equals pain in traditional Chinese medicine. So if we can create a good flow and keep ourselves flowing, you'll have less pain. You'll have less pain mentally. You'll have less pain physically. You'll have less heartache because it's the way you look at it. It's because the way you're able to release emotions that don't serve you instead of holding on to them and allowing them to create a stagnation in your life. So when it comes to self-care, if all you're considering as self-care is a haircut, great, wonderful. You do need to cut your hair occasionally. It's helpful to feel good about yourself. It's actually helpful for the health of the hair as well. But are you looking at all of the other things that we can do to really care for us? To look at the damages, to look at the triggers, to look at the emotional healing that needs to be done. So that was the first part of the series. So full circle with some of these self-care tips are much more vast than what the majority of the population thinks of as self-care. And when we're able to truly balance work, rest, play, then we can have a better flow of energy in our lives. We can hold more personal emotional fulfillment. We can be more of service to other people and more of service to ourselves. So I hope this video was helpful just on maintaining a high vibration by consistently making sure that you do things that bring joy to your life and that you continue to move forward in your lives with your personal goals. Because once, as we age, as we get older, these personal emotional fulfillments are going to help you prevent a level of depression in your older years. Scientifically proven, people that have had much more emotional fulfillment are less likely to be depressed, hands down. That seems obvious, right? But this really plays a role as people start to retire. And, if you only considered what you did for a living, your emotional fulfillment, you're going to feel a sense of lack when you retire. So start developing other things that bring joy to your life. Same thing with empty nest syndrome. If a mother or father or parent in general only placed their emotional fulfillment on raising their children, they're going to have a hard time feeling emotionally fulfilled after their children leave the home. So continue to make sure that there are many things that bring joy to your life. You set goals for yourself in many aspects of your life so that you can remain grateful, compassionate, kind, and emotionally fulfilled. Good luck, everybody. Reach out if you need me.